If you would, make it to your seats, please. Welcome, everyone, to the Santa Rosa County Board of County Commissioners meeting. This is our regular meeting. It's Thursday, January the 8th, 2015. It's 9 o'clock a.m. Here again, welcome, everyone, on this nice, warm Florida day. We're going to start the meeting with a prayer by the Reverend Tom Sharon from downtown Chumuckla Community Church. Then I'll ask Commissioner Cole to lead us in the pledge. Please stand.
Good morning. Let's pray together. Gracious God, we come today to say thank you for your many blessings. We thank you for the blessing of this place that we call home in Santa Rosa County. I thank you for the many men and women who work so hard to preserve the quality of life that we enjoy. Police, firefighters, our first responders, Lord, I pray your blessings on our sheriff staff and all of our county staff, Lord, that work so hard to provide the services to the public. Bless them. I ask your blessings on this board, that you would grant them a wisdom to be good stewards of the resources we enjoy. Bless them, bless their families, direct their efforts. Give us ears to hear and hearts to receive your voice, and, Lord, the courage to follow your will for us. God bless the people of Santa Rosa County. God bless the United States of America, Lord, and we just pray that in your precious name that you would hear our prayer. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in a pledge to our country's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend. At this time, I would like to remind everyone, if you have a cell phone, please put it in a silent mode. Anyone wishing to speak today, make sure you come forward and fill out a speaker's form here at the front desk. At this time, we will have approval of the minutes of the October 8th, 2014 and October the 20th, 2014 Judicial Facility Workshops, November the 13th, 2014, and December the 11th, 2014 regular meetings, and December the 11th, 2014 special meeting. Any comments on those meetings? Hearing none, I will approve without objection. Hearing none, they pass. Next, we will approve our agenda for today. I will start with my right with Commissioner J.O. Williamson for any additions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no additions this morning.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No additions.
Thank you, Commissioner Rob Williamson.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. No changes, no additions.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynchard.
No changes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Walker.
Mr. Chairman, I would just note that item number 7 on your agenda was an add-on. This is the Pace High band run in February, and it meets all the sheriff's been notified, and it's ready to go. So I added it to the agenda. Sent you an email yesterday, I believe it was.
So noted.
No additions.
No changes.
Jane. Mr. Lynchard.
Mr. Chairman, I did have one announcement I wanted to make just real briefly. We have at Troop 102 in Gulf Breeze, sponsored by Gulf Breeze United Methodist Church, we have 4 boys, young men, who are receiving their Eagle designation this Saturday. So 4 Eagle Scouts at one ceremony. That's pretty impressive. The Scouts are Sam Danton, Josh Dick, Jarris Dover Spike, and Dylan George. And I'll be attending that ceremony with them
Very good.
On Saturday.
Excellent young men. This time we will approve the agenda today without objection. Here none, it passes. We have one proclamation today, and that's Florida First Responder Appreciation Week. And I hope I can do justice to this, because in the world we live in today, and all you got to do is turn on the 6 o'clock news or pick up the newspaper. We live in a dangerous world. And we depend heavily not only on our military, but our first responders at the local level. So we truly appreciate everything that y'all do. Tom Lloyd, would you come forward, please? Tom is going to identify the different agencies present for us today. So Tom, let us have your name and your address. And
Tom Lloyd, Santa Rosa Emergency Management. We've got several different agencies representing our 15 fire departments, law enforcement, and emergency services in our county. Joining us today is Navarre Beach Fire and Rescue, Holly Navarre Fire and Rescue, Midway Fire and Rescue, Avalon Fire, Baghdad Fire and Rescue, Pace Fire Department, Munson Fire and Rescue, Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office, and Lifeguard Ambulance Service.
okay. Thank you. As you want to, all y'all come forward.
And Milton Fire Department is here also.
Great. We see the chief. All right, this time I have the privilege to read a proclamation from Santa Rosa County. Whereas Tarpon Springs Police Officer Charles Condek and Leon County Sheriff Deputy Christopher Smith were recently killed in the line of duty. And locally, this week we had a Gulf Breeze police officer, Tatro, who was injured while he was trying to stop a speeding motorist, so our prayers go out to his family as well. Whereas each loss of law enforcement officer is heartbreaking, and losing two heroes in less than a month is a cry for peace and a signal to all Floridians to pray for our men and women in uniform who protect our communities each day. And whereas Florida's first responders include law enforcement officers, firefighters, and EMTs who bravely and selfishly risk their lives every day to protect Florida families, visitors, and businesses. And whereas Florida's first responders do not hesitate to risk their own lives in order to save the lives of others, and their commitment to continued training, skill enhancement, and interagency coordination make them vital members of every Florida community. And whereas acts of kindness and appreciation from citizens for first responders provide them needed encouragement and support to confront the dangerous and uncertain situations they face every day. Now, therefore, we, the Board of County Commissioners of Santa Rosa County, do hereby proclaim January the 5th through the 9th, 2015, as Florida First Responder Appreciation Week, and encourage all Floridians to take time out of their day to show first responders and their families how much we value their service to our cities, counties, and state. Florida First Responder Appreciation Week will be an opportunity for Florida leaders at every level to demonstrate appreciation for all men and women who protect and serve our state as first responders, and an opportunity for Floridians to say thank you to first responders who keep them safe. Board of County Commissioners, Santa Rosa County, Florida. Here again, I have the honor to sign it as chairman, representing this board and all of our citizens of Santa Rosa County. Thank you for what you do. Joy, you want us to? We're going to come down there, and Commissioner Lynchard's going to coordinate the picture taking. Before y'all leave, I know Commissioner Cole has something to say, and each commissioner will be given the same opportunity. Commissioner Cole.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, over the tenure I've been able to serve and the privilege of serving the citizens of Santa Rosa County, you make hard decisions and you make good and bad decisions, but three of I think the best decisions I've been involved in is one, the MSBU for fire protection. Two is the raise we were able to help our sheriff achieve for the people out there in Santa Rosa County, or for our sheriff's office to protect the people of Santa Rosa County. And the other one was our choice in lifeguard ambulance service years ago. So thanks again for everything you folks do. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Rob Williamson.
I just wanted to say thanks, especially with, in light of Tater's injury, and Gulf Breeze officer that was injured. And I know that y'all don't do what you do to get rich. You do it because you just have this thing in your DNA that says you want to save lives, and that when everybody else is running away, you're running toward whatever the danger is. And I can't imagine what type of stress that you carry with you into your job every day, but I am so grateful to know that y'all are out there, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner J.O. Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that Commissioner Cole and Commissioner Williamson hit everything, but I want to say thank you to you, not only you, but to your family as well, because I know this job takes you away from them. We're so appreciative to have you here in Santa Rosa County, and if we can be of any service to you, just let us know.
Mr. Lynchard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll echo those same comments. We appreciate everything you do for the residents of Santa Rosa County, the hard and dangerous work that you perform every day out there. So thank you very much.
All right. Once again, thank y'all very much. Y'all do a great job, and we're a better county because of what you do. Thank you. All right. We'll move on into the agenda. Yeah, presentations next on the agenda. North End Solid Waste Collection Franchise Update. Mr. Walker.
Mr. Chairman, as you know, we're in the ongoing franchising of the North End for solid waste in our partnership with ECUA. We've got Randy Rudd and Tim Haig with the utility authority here. My understanding, Mr. Rudd's kind of battling a little illness, so I think Tim Haig's going to speak to the board and kind of update on where we are. And I had forwarded out the latest update that Mr. Rudd sent maybe about an hour ago.
Let us have your name and address, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tim Haig with the Emerald Coast Utilities Authority, P.O. Box 15311 in Pensacola. First thing I want to do is let you know we appreciate the chance to come out here today to give you the update. Wish you guys all a Happy New Year. Look forward to this start of the program that we initiated on the 2nd of January, and look forward to a long, successful program working with you guys. We know we've had some bumps in the road. I think everyone that started on this project, working with the administrator and his staff. We all knew that the startup was somewhat fast-tracked, considering the scope and scale of the customer base. So we do appreciate you guys' patience as we move through these initial program startup problems that we've faced. Right now, I want to give you a heads up. The report that we submitted this morning, we have approximately 17,500 residents signed up for service. We have delivered cans or carts to 15,800 of those that are signed up for service. Gives us about approximately 90% distribution coverage for the carts. We initiated service on Friday the 2nd. I believe, all things considered, the service pickup is going well, considering the little bumps we're having with the distribution of the carts. So we've got a contractor on board helping us with the distribution of the carts. ECUA staff has actually also started assisting in the distribution of the carts, and we are bringing on a second cart contractor today or tomorrow to assist with the delivery of the carts. So we do feel that by this weekend, everything's going to be pretty much in hand as far as the distribution of the carts. Initial sign-up for service, I don't know if anyone could have anticipated the number of phone calls we ended up taking. We obviously had some problems with the phone lines coming in. We expanded our phone lines, added 100 additional phone lines to the ECUA service. The lines that cannot be handled by a customer service representative fall straight over to an answering service. So we do have the process in place for the sign-ups. We also have been utilizing and are encouraging people to utilize the email sign-up process. And if they submit all the proper information that is requested for the email sign-up process, there's no phone calls that are even going to be necessary for anything along the lines as far as starting up the service. In a nutshell, that's pretty much where we stand with the startup process. I'll be glad to answer any questions that the Commission has, and again, I do want to express our appreciation, the chance to work with the Santa Rosa County staff and the Commission in starting up this program.
I'll open it up for any board comments. Commissioner Cole?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tim, I appreciate you coming out today.
Yes, sir.
I've known Tim for quite some time through the Bay Area Resource Council. We've worked together on that for probably over 8 years now. So I know you guys were overwhelmed, and hindsight being 2020, we could have executed things a little better. But we'll work it out. And I've heard a lot of great comments from folks that they've gotten their cans now. Everything's starting to smooth out. I did want to clarify something. Are your people instructed to pick up trash in bags along the road if it's not in a container?
My understanding is that we are picking up the bags, the trash bags, okay, in instances, especially when the carts have not been delivered. So okay, the answer to that question is yes.
All right. Is there any way we can help disperse what days that will be? Because the concern I've heard from some citizens is, well, if I put it out there, the dogs or something's going to tear it up. Bears, especially out in East Milton, we're getting a lot of, if you leave trash out, the bears are going to scatter it half a mile. So if we could tell them, okay, you have it out tomorrow morning, don't let it sit out there for 2 or 3 days, I think.
Yeah, as Mr. Rudd and Mr. Gary Diener, they're the ones that basically have their hands on the operation. So I do believe that they can possibly clarify that as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, we just asked that they put it out on their normal collection date, and we will pick it up.
Okay. And the collection dates, times, stuff like that are available on a website?
Yes, sir. There is maps posted on the website that specifically show the collection days.
Okay. And we'll make sure we post the phone numbers and the website on our county website too. So, all right. Thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner J.R. Williamson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I believe Joy could probably speak to this better, but on the county site, you can go in and put your address, and it'll tell all the pickup dates for people in the county. We've had numerous phone calls, emails, and probably said some choice words over the last month or so, both of us, that were probably better suited for those conversations instead of a public meeting. I can say overall, I am disappointed in some of the process, the way things that have happened, and I think that you could have done a better job. With that being said, I think I could have done a better job as a commissioner as well. And then also, I can say this to both of you. I've sent a lot of emails to you, Mr. Rudd, and you've been very responsive of those over the last few days. It's a stressful situation for everybody in our community, for us as commissioners, and for you as well at ECUA. So I appreciate at least you having that communication with me. I know it may have failed some with the citizens. It's a lot of people, 30,000 people we're talking about, but I do appreciate you taking the effort to try to get things delivered whenever I send emails over. I know the other commissioners have been doing the same. There's a lot of responsibility and finger pointing that could go around right now. Some of it's at me, some of it's at you. I don't really care about pointing too many fingers, though. We just need to get people their cans, get their trash picked up. And in a couple weeks, I hope this is a non-issue. And if it's not, then we will continue to hold your feet to the fire. But thank you for trying to go that extra step. And I just appreciate your responsiveness to me over the course of the last 4 days. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? Commissioner Rob Williamson.
Tim, Randy, thanks for coming today. Sorry you're not feeling well. I just am curious, how many folks that signed up before January 1st still do not have cans? Is it around 1,200?
Not all of those 1,200 signed up before January 1st. That number includes a lot of customers that signed up since then. We are going back and delivering cans to customers that when we get a report either through Santa Rosa County or through our customer service line that I signed up way back when and I haven't received my can. What we found in a lot of cases is during the data entry process, a number was transposed. The cart got delivered, but it was delivered to the wrong address. We've had situations where the wrong customer grabbed the cart. So when we hear from the customer that they have not received the cart, we are working those, trying to get them out either that day or the following day to respond to those complaint issues. That is very time consuming because the addresses are scattered all over the county. It's a shotgun effect. And we've got at least 3 to 4 crews every day doing nothing but those, we call them hot complaints, and trying to get cans delivered. But we are working those as quickly as possible once we become aware that there is a problem and that customer should have been delivered a can already.
Do we know how many customers still do not have cans? We said we were at 90%. That's how I came up with the 1,200 number. Is that?
Yes, sir. That number is based on, we provide the contractors and our crews with a delivery list, and we try to segment those down to small areas where we can be as efficient as possible in the delivery. That 90% number is based on the completed delivery sheets.
So it could be more, or it could be less.
Could be more, could be less, depending on how many errors are made on those sheets during the delivery process.
The garbage that was left at curbside, has that all been picked up?
Our crews worked all day yesterday, cleaning up everything we could. The bags are slowing down the process, and that's the biggest reason we wanted to get the cans out as quickly as possible. These trucks are designed to pick up an automated garbage container. Trying to load the bags in manually is time consuming. It slows down the entire process. So that's our biggest motivation, to get the cans out on, as quickly as we possibly can. We are picking up the bags. We're telling the drivers. We're actually sending rear loader trucks back through to pick up bags because it's easier for those drivers to load them than the side loaders. So, we are picking up bags. If someone gets missed, we are going back to pick them up. It's part of the problem from not having all the cans out.
Okay, do you have enough cans in your inventory currently?
Yes,
if the number's 1,200, you have 1,200 cans right now?
Yes, sir. We ordered 28,000 garbage cans, 14,000 recycling cans. We have cans in stock. It's just a matter of getting them delivered.
Any idea what the average, how many cans a crew, we say we have one crew out right now, or is it one company, and you're looking at starting another company today or tomorrow, how many cans on average are delivered a day?
It depends on the area and the density that they're delivering in, but we've had anywhere from 500 up to 18 to 1,900 cans delivered in a day per crew. So it just varies depending on the density.
So, if we're averaging 500 cans a day, you had 339 sign up in the last 24 hours, I think it said on your email. At most, we're probably somewhere around 1,500 folks that don't have cans. So we really don't have, you have the cans in inventory. Really, it seems like we're making this harder than it needs to be. It's just a manpower issue. If you have one crew delivers 500 cans a day, then we just need to make sure that the ECUA folks are bringing all the manpower and resources that they can to the table to make it right. If it takes 3 crews, we should be able to get this done by close of business tomorrow. But if we stick with one crew, it's going to continue to be difficult to catch up. And I echo Commissioner J.R. Williamson's comments that you've been very responsive. Anytime I've sent an email to you or forwarded one from a citizen that says they haven't had something picked up, you're all over it, sometimes till very late at night. It's not surprising that you're under the weather. So I'm grateful for the effort. The effort is not the issue. It seems like it's just simply a manpower issue. So either ECUA is willing to put the manpower behind solving the problem as soon as possible. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
That's all I'm looking for, is just an assurance from you today that, yes, we feel that we'll have this done in the next couple of days, because we're going to bring additional people. If I need to get my truck and a trailer and help you out, give me a list and I'll help you out. But
I may have misspoke. We are running multiple crews every day. There's more than one crew out there. For example, I think today we're running four ECUA crews. The contractor's running 6 to 8 crews every day. The new contractor coming in will run probably 2 to 3 crews when they're available. Now, ECUA can't do that every day when we're picking up garbage, but the main days we make headway are Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Wednesdays. Those are the days we don't have a lot of collection going on. We can put everybody out there. And we're doing that. We're working 7 days a week. And we will do that until this process is smoothed out and everyone that wants a can has a can. We are putting out the maximum effort, and you get to a point where there's so many crews, and I know the customers have seen us, where depending on when the customer called in and what list they're on, we may have one crew go down the street, and then several hours later another crew goes down the street. That's all a function of, and some of those crews are working on the complaint calls. So there's multiple crews out there every day, and I can assure you we are putting every available person out every day to deliver carts.
okay, that's what I want to hear. If you're bringing all the resources you have to bear, and it's not, look, we've got 3 crews, if we could run 5, we'd get this done faster, but we're only bringing 3.
Yes, sir. If we have personnel and they're not collecting garbage, they're delivering carts.
Last question. When do you anticipate being caught up? If you're at 90% now, when do you anticipate being at 100%? In other words, when do you anticipate meeting the deliverables of the agreement?
Well, the contract says we have a week, 7 days after, call in. That's fine during the normal process, but the transition like this, when you're getting thousands of calls, that's difficult to live up to. It depends on how many calls we get per day. The last several days have been fairly light, so it's giving us an opportunity to get ahead. Our goal is to have everything that was called in prior to Saturday delivered by the end of the day this Sunday. That is our goal.
Okay.
So it will depend, if we reach that goal, on how many call-ins we get in today and tomorrow. But if we do not finish it Sunday, they'll be working Monday. And we will continue that until our goal is essentially a can will be delivered within a day or 2 of the call from the customer.
If I'm hearing you correctly, everybody that called in before January 3rd, you're estimating that they will have a can by close of business tomorrow, Saturday, in that time frame, by the time the weekend's out.
If they do not, there was some kind of error in the delivery process. It got dropped off.
Yeah, that's going to happen. I understand that.
That is our goal.
That's fine. I too want to make sure that I own it as I'm one of the decision makers here. So, there's things that we could have done to do a better job and execute better on this. Obviously, maybe the timing wasn't great. We can talk about all the reasons why. I'm just concerned with what we're going to do to make it right. As a business owner, if I hire a subcontractor and that subcontractor doesn't perform, I still have to make it right. So, I kind of look at it that way, and I appreciate the effort. I know you guys are busting your tail. We just want to be able to tell the citizens of Santa Rosa County, who, by the way, their service changed because of a decision this board made. So we just want to make sure that it's going to go from 89 to 90% to 100%. Yes. And it sounds like you're working that way. Thanks, guys.
Anyone else? Let me just say this. I probably agree with what Commissioner J.O. Williamson said. We only get one chance in life a lot of times to make a first impression, and I think we dropped the ball. I think we have an opportunity to fix it. I know in my previous working world, I came from a large company where we had a large customer base. We would do transitions, we would change out programs, we would spend months and months training people and preparing, trying to project what was going to happen. And somewhere along the way, I don't think that happened here. So consistency is one of the problems I've had with what y'all have told y'all's customers, our customers. I've heard anything from it takes 7 days to 3 days to 6 days to 1 day. So I think you got to be more consistent in what you're telling your customers. The bottom line is we got to get the cans out. We got to work real hard, your company and us, to restore credibility with the citizens of Santa Rosa County. I appreciate everything you've done. I know it's a challenge when you try to take on what you're taking on. Can't do anything about what was broken in the past, but we can certainly fix it as we go forward. I would encourage you to be consistent. Let's work on credibility.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Cole.
Not to keep going on this, but, and it doesn't have anything to do with ECUA, but Waste Pro did tell their customers they'd make one last pickup, and I don't know that for a fact, but I was told that by a customer. And then I did see a Waste Pro truck going down South Airport today, so I'd just like to thank them for their teamwork on this too. So.
Okay, we're going to move on. Tim, Randy, we appreciate y'all coming. Whatever we can do to help y'all, let us know. We got to get to the end of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, at this time we're going to have a presentation, FY 2013-2014, Florida Division of Forestry Report. Here we go.
Mr. Chairman, this is the Senior County Forester, Ian Stone, and he's going to provide you the annual report that Forestry provides.
Who aren't exactly familiar with the Cooperative Forestry Assistance Program, I'm sure you probably are. It's a cooperative program with the Florida Forest Service. We changed names about 2 years ago or so from Division of Forestry to Florida Forest Service. We have a program where we provide assistance to private landowners in the county that own forest land, also urban forestry, public education, outreach, and those things. And the county does support that position staffing from the state with about a $3,000 match in the cooperate. So this report is to give the commissioners, the county officials, an idea of what that program has gotten assistance in the county to the landowners. Major change in this fiscal year was a change in staff. I'm new to the county forestry program. Daniel Wesley, who was the county forester prior to me, took another job with another state agency. I was senior forester at Blackwater River, and I transferred down. I've included a brief description of my professional background in the report so y'all can familiarize yourself. I'm native of Louisiana. I have a Bachelor's of Science from Louisiana State University and a Master's of Science in Forestry from the University of Maine. About 5 years worth of forestry experience. There's been no major changes in the components of the program. Cost share activities, cost share programs and their administration still dominate my workload. There's been a noticeable increase in urban forestry assistant requests and youth and adult educational program requests to the county forester office. The other thing that occurred this year was, for a while that position was vacant. I was on temporary assignment still to the timber unit until about Christmas of last year, and so there have been multiple county foresters working in the county over the years. So this covers every staff that has worked in the county, either Okaloosa County Forester or Escambia County Forester. The cost share programs in the county are both a state and federal programs. The federal programs are the CRP, which is the Conservation Reserve Program. The Emergency Forestry Conservation Reserve Program is still active. That was after Ivan and Dennis. And the EQIP program, those are through the Farm Services Agency and the NRCS, but I assist them with the on-the-ground forestry assessments for those programs. This year, we assisted a total of 85 landowners in the county with state and federal cost share programs on 13,742 acres worth of forest land, and that resulted in 305 hours of work on my part and 2,607 miles traveled total. Under the FCRP program, we had 14 contract plans and practice evaluations were performed on 1,945 acres. CRP program had a total of 123 hours, 31 assists on 10,925 acres. So y'all can see that's a pretty big program there. We have 2 state cost share programs which are joint between the state and federal government. There are federal funds and state funds that are used as a match. The first of those programs is the Southern Pine Beetle Program. It is designed to encourage forest management practices that reduce the chance of major southern pine beetle outbreaks. The southern pine beetle is our most devastating forest pest in the southeast, and it can result in large hundreds to thousands of acres of forest land damaged with very high losses to both private landowners, public, and forest industry owners. Through that program, we had 49 hours of assistance on 18 assists on 1,501 acres. We also had the sign-up portion of that program occurred during this fiscal year. There were 13 applications on 1,175 acres with a total funding request of $36,591. Of those, 8 were approved on 757 acres with a total funding of $26,681. We also have a program called the Longleaf Legacy Program. That is another joint state-federal cost share program. That program is designed to encourage planting and management of longleaf pine forests, which are an imperiled ecosystem, and they're also, at one time, were the largest pine forests in this area and across the southeast because of overharvesting and various things through hundreds of years of forest management and also exploitation in the early part of the turn of the century, around the 1900s. That ecosystem has dwindled down to less than 1% of its original extent, so this program is to encourage growth in that ecosystem and restoration of it. This program came out in 2012. It's a 2-year program. As of 2014, there were 9 open contracts on 835 acres. Those practices had to be completed by March 30th. Under that program, there were 104 hours on 38 assists on 1,348 acres of forest land. We had another sign-up May to June of the 2014-2013 fiscal year. There were 3 applications submitted for a total of 347 acres, and those resulted in $15,570 in funding, which all 3 were approved. Youth and adult programs are another major component that I handle. There's been a noticeable increase in the demand of school and adult programs, youth civic organizations calling for the county forester to come and do a forest education program. Under the youth program, we had 5 youth programs in the county with 31 hours of assistance, and that reached an estimated 230 youth in the county. We had 18 adult programs with 282 hours of time, and that reached an estimated 105 adults in the county. It's important to note that each program requires a fair amount of time before and during the program itself, preparation and all of PowerPoints and such as that. And as a lot of people now are somewhat removed from forest land and they live in urban areas, it's important to perform those programs so that people are aware of the importance of forest resources to their daily lives and to this county. Another program area that we work with a lot is the stewardship program and writing management plans for forest landowners. That program came out in the 1990s from Congress. The idea there is to promote multiple use forest management and to promote that through the establishment of forest management plans that are designed to meet landowners' goals for their forest land. And this year in the county, we had 3 consultant-written plans. The plans are provided at no cost to the landowner through either the county forester writing the plan or the consultant, but the county forester is capped at 120 acres. Once it's over 120 acres, a private forestry consultant has to write the plan. But the landowner, the county forester, through the county forester, they're provided the cost of the plan. We had 2 general management plans in the county. Also, those are just folks that want a management plan but are usually under 20 acres or so they don't qualify for the stewardship program. And that took a total of 48 hours on 8 assists covering 604 acres. Another area that I cover as county forester is urban forestry and urban tree calls, things of that nature. That is definitely an increasing program in the county. We're seeing more development and urbanization in Santa Rosa County, and so we're having more calls at my office about urban trees, tree healths in people's yards, maintaining urban tree cover and that sort of thing. That was 54 hours with 68 assists. Also under this program is the Arbor Day tree giveaway that we typically do in Santa Rosa County every year. We have 300 seedlings that we gave away to over 100 members of the public, and that program required 36 hours from myself, and then there were also a lot of hours put in from support staff from the Coldwater and Milton fire stations under our agency. We also have the Tree City USA program, which comes through the Arbor Day Foundation and also state and federal assistance under that program. That program is designed to promote cities to think about their urban tree cover, their urban tree canopies, and to maintain that. That's very important for water quality management, to prevent what they call urban heat islands, where you have no shade on concrete, which generates a large amount of heat, and that can cause unintended impacts and such. It's a very effective program. We have a very active program in this county with Milton, Gulf Breeze, and Naval Air Station Whiting Field are all 3 certified as under the Tree City USA program, and they were recertified again during this past fiscal year. Another area are just what we call general landowner assists. These are landowners who may have just bought a piece of property that's forest land, have a family piece of forest land that they haven't fooled with before, and they haven't done much management, but they aren't directly under the stewardship program or a cost share program or something of that nature. Most of them usually go on to sign up for one of the programs, so it's very important making these new contacts and encouraging them to do forest management on their forest properties. That was 138 hours of time were spent on that. This assisted 26 landowners on a total of 1,701 acres on just general assists, and that can be anything from I'm afraid I've got some sort of forest pest or disease to I recognize that I'd like to do some burning or some management. Could you come out and please give me a good idea, your professional opinion on how best to do that? Also, I had 2 temporary assignments under my tenure this year. I was assigned to the Blackwater Timber Unit shortly after even though my transfer had gone through, I remained on temporary assignment for 660 hours assisting with timber marking and management on the state forest. And then also the Escambia County office was vacated at about the end of March of this fiscal year, and I spent 56 hours on 12 assists to that office, which covered 10 EFCRP contracts, 1 CRP burn evaluation, and 1 stewardship application. So that kind of gives you an overview of the program through the Florida Forest Service in this county. It's a very active program as county forestry programs go. We have a large amount of forest landowners and urban areas in the county, and I stay pretty busy on a very consistent basis helping out with all of those. The areas to look at, I'm looking to increase our urban forestry and stewardship activities. So going forward, try to increase the amount of interest in those programs. We have continuous interest from new landowners, as you can see in the general forestry assistance. So there is a increasing amount of demand, and the program is sustaining itself very well. So I'm happy to report that the program is doing well. And also, as I conclude my report, this year Florida Arbor Day is January 16th. We're going to have two programs this year. We're going to continue to do the tree seedling giveaway. I was also able to procure some funds to plant 8 live oaks at the Santa Rosa County Sports Complex with the County Parks Department. And I'd like to extend an invitation to all the chairmen and county staff to attend the tree planting ceremony. Planning to have it on 9:30, but if y'all have a time that would be best for y'all, please let me know, and I can make arrangements to have the ceremony at that time. And if y'all have any questions, please.
We appreciate the report. We appreciate everything you do to protect our forest. We take a lot of pride in our rural area of Santa Rosa County, including that forest, so we appreciate everything you do. Any comments from the board? Commissioner Cole?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under your forest stewardship and management program, I would assume that includes your prescribed burns or controlled burning time? Or do you handle, or is your department in charge of that?
Our department, when we assist in prescribed burning, we do not typically physically put fire on the ground on private lands. That is done through private contractors, but that is typically handled by fire staff. I will go out and do burn evaluations. I'm required to do that when they're under cost share assistance programs, make sure the burn was conducted in an appropriate manner. But typically, when I do prescribed burns on the state forest, that goes under a state forestry assist.
Okay. And my concern with this is, we spend millions of dollars getting young people and people in general to realize that smoking's bad for you, and then we turn around and you call them prescribed burns or controlled burns. I call them uncontrolled burns because a lot of times we get complaints. I was on a perfectly beautiful, clear day. We get smoked out because of these. They've gone the wrong way. They've got a little out of control, whatever it happens to be. My question is, with the ability with mechanical collection of understory now, why we haven't looked more into that rather than continuing to burn? And is there an effort to look at mechanical collection of understory?
Yes, sir. There is a look towards that. Typically, that is for hardwoods control. It does not take care of the issue of maintaining appropriate grassland cover, which the longleaf pine ecosystem is typically what's called a grass pine savanna. And that naturally, our forests in this area burn on a 2 to 5 year rotation. Mm-hmm. And the mechanical understory removal that you are discussing is very good for areas that have not been burned, to help get them back into a forest situation where you can do prescribed burning and you won't have the amount of smoke because of the large diameter fuels. You'll have more of a grass and light fuels fire where the smoke goes up and dissipates very quickly. And under some of the cost share programs, they are including mechanical underbrush removal and thinnings and those sorts of operations. Unfortunately, the price of biomass fluctuates, which biomass is the term typically used for the product that's produced when you're harvesting small diameters. And also, you can't handle a piece size with most logging equipment that's very small. So it winds up being chipped, and at some point something has to be done with if it's mechanical underbrush removal. So prescribed fire remains our best forest management tool for forests in the Southeast and Florida. And it is essential to the continuing function of the forest. Our forests do not function well when prescribed fire is excluded. And while it's, often a lot of folks look to, especially on smaller acres where it's harder, or smoke-sensitive areas where it's much more difficult to do prescribed burning, they are looking more and more to that. It's not exactly a substitute for the effects of prescribed fire. But we continue to have an active smoke management program. We try to minimize that as much as possible, both on the state lands and when private landowners are burning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, once again, we appreciate you being here and all the good work you do. Anything we can do to help you, let us know. Anything we can do to help you, let us know.
Okay, I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move into the regular agenda now. First on the agenda is Economic Development Committee, Commissioner Lynchard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This morning we have one item, and that's an update on Space Florida. And I'd like to welcome Chris Snow. He's the Senior Director of Business Development for Space Florida. Good morning, Chris.
Commissioner Chair, thank you for having me here today. Apologize, trying to get over a cold. First of all, thank you for having me here today. Really appreciate the invitation to be here. My colleague, Kevin Williams, and I are here today to talk to you about what Space Florida as an organization can bring to your county, what we can bring to your community. We're not here to ask for anything. We're here to ask for your communication as you better understand the economic development capabilities that we can bring to an area. We are a very different organization. There is not another organization like us across the state, and I'll get into why we're different and how we're different. But thank you again for having me here today. So Space Florida is technically a for-profit entity, though we do not operate for profit. This is done for multiple reasons, including the fact that we have different capabilities, whether it's to own property, own facilities, unique capabilities that I'll get into a little bit more. We are actually an independent special district. So in that way, we are kind of like a port or an airport. We can manage spaceport facilities at Cape Canaveral in Jacksonville, also at Camp Blanding. We are equipped with different financing tools that I'll get into a little bit more and describe some of the projects that we're able to work on. We are responsible, so we have two roles really as an organization. One is this Spaceport Authority, where we manage facilities and act as this seaport, airport sort of mode for the spaceport system. We work with the FDOT in that role very actively, and they've been extremely supportive of us. The other part is economic development, where we're able to use these tools to own property, to own facilities, and able to utilize them in an economic development scenarios where it's useful. Go ahead. So I talked about this a little bit and just give you a couple examples. We actually lease launch facilities at Cape Canaveral. We are working right now with Kennedy Space Center to take over the shuttle landing facility at Kennedy Space Center, which has been used for so many years with the shuttle program. Now that it's been retired, we'd like to commercialize it and see commercial companies come in, whether that's for specifically spacecraft or unmanned aerial systems, different kind of commercial capabilities where we can utilize that. As I mentioned before, we are a statewide entity. We have capabilities across the state. There are some capabilities that are restricted, not restricted to spaceport, but restricted to special dirt. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. So we were created by the legislature in 2006, sort of the merging of three organizations into one. Part of this toolkit with special dirt that I talked about, we can do projects where we take over a piece of property or do a ground lease with a county, an airport. The projects need to be on county dirt, city dirt, airport, state, federal we can do. We've done projects where we've taken over former space shuttle hangars from NASA, and we're converting those for Boeing to be able to come in and do their commercial career program. That's OPF-3. It's a very exciting project for us down at the Kennedy Space Center. We've done projects in Melbourne similar to this at the Melbourne International Airport that I'll talk a little bit more about. We have projects all across the state that I'll talk a little bit more about as well, but this kind of gives you sort of a brief overview. And I'm not trying to kill you by PowerPoint, so if I go a little off script here, you'll have to forgive me. I think you'd rather look at me than stare at the PowerPoint anyway. Not that I'm beautiful or anything, but go ahead. This will kind of give you a better idea of what the aerospace industry looks like statewide. I believe this chart was done by Enterprise Florida, and kind of gives you a better perspective as to how big Florida's aerospace industry is as a whole. It is certainly segregated to certain parts of the state where the industry is clustered around. Obviously, most of those has to do with federal customers and being near Kennedy Space Center, being near naval Air Force stations around the state, whether it be in Tampa or Pensacola or over here at Whiting, or Jacksonville. So those are kind of where you see the clusters. But with those clusters, there are great opportunities for commercial growth, not just for growth with government contracts. And that's, while also assisting with some of the government contract work, our real bread and butter is with the commercial work that happens. And so I'll get into that a little bit more. When we have a project that comes to us, we have to evaluate a few different things. Is it on special dirt? Can we do a project that's on county, city, state, federal land, something like that? Then we have to assess, is it within our charter, our mission? This kind of gives you a better perspective as to how broad Space Florida's capabilities really are. We're not just talking about launching rockets. This can be from space transportation, can be launching rockets. It could be clean energy, advanced materials, and new products. I know it's kind of hard to read there, but agriculture. We've done traditional aviation projects where somebody wants to come in and retrofit a hangar, and we're able to lease the hangar space, or we're able to retrofit the hangar itself and then lease it back to the company. So these unique capabilities, what they're able to do is they're able to keep the upfront cost off the company's books, push it to Space Florida, and then we can defer that cost and essentially get it paid back from the company in the form of a lease payments, which helps the company move, helps the company grow by deferring that upfront capital. So I sort of already went through this, so thank you. We are very fortunate that we have a tremendous amount of support from the governor's office, from the Florida legislature, and they have blessed us with some money specifically for financing different projects, whether that be for a hangar, for infrastructure improvements to different facilities for specific economic development projects. But we've been fortunate that we have that support from the governor's office, the legislature, from Enterprise Florida, and our other economic development partners. This is kind of just very briefly to give you an idea of how we execute a financing transaction. We have to do our due diligence just the way a bank would, a commercial company would, and we take them through that process and kind of gives them a better handle as to how our assist really works. Go ahead. I want to give you a better idea as to some specific transactions that we've done, some specific economic development scenarios where we've been able to be helpful. This is sort of the biggest one we've done to date in terms of the number of jobs and probably the overall cost. And I may get Kevin to weigh in on this one if you all have any questions, as Kevin did a fantastic job working this project. This was Northrop Grumman. This was down at the Melbourne International Airport. This was worked with Enterprise Florida DEO, the local economic development community there. Essentially, Northrop Grumman came in and said, we want to grow. We have a big project on the cusp of a big project. We want to be able to do it at the Melbourne International Airport. And they were already aware of us because we had worked several other projects at that airport there. They wanted to be close to their customer, Department of Defense. And so we said, okay, we will actually do a ground lease with the Melbourne International Airport for a whole bunch of land and property in that area. Then Space Florida will do all the vertical improvements. So we'll build all the buildings, we'll finance those buildings for this project, and then we will lease it to Northrop Grumman, the company, and recover our cost in the long run to be able to pay the bank back. This keeps the capital off the company's books. Creates jobs for Florida, 300 upfront jobs with the potential for 1,800 total. And I think that the highlight of that really is it's really a game changer for a community that lost the space shuttle program. is that the average salary of those jobs is $100,000. So really a significant economic development opportunity that our team and Enterprise Florida and everybody else involved really did a fantastic job of undertaking. Now, you're not always going to see those kinds of projects, and I'll give you an example that our boss, Frank DeBello, has given over the years when referring to the Space Shuttle program in particular, but I think it applies to all communities. When you have economic development projects, you're not always going to have an opportunity for something like this. You've got to take advantage of instead of having the grapefruit-sized projects, if you will, you've got to take advantage of the apples and oranges. And then once you get that clustering effect, that's really when the opportunities will come in larger bunches. Go ahead and go to the next one. This is another project at the Melbourne International Airport. And the reason, largely, in my opinion, as to why we've done so many projects there, not just proximity to Kennedy Space Center, but they have a good handle as to what the capabilities we're able to bring to bear in terms of financing, in terms of owning property, and all the different capabilities we have there. So they certainly push us. This is Embraer at the Melbourne International Airport. They will create 200 research and development jobs there. Kevin, have they already? They're already in the building. That construction timeframe took place within 10 months, I believe. Is that right? We were able to get them in there, so very quick turnaround for them. I bring this up because this is a more traditional project for Space Florida, where we're able to take a piece of land, do a ground lease with the local community, take that, go to the bank, say, look, this is the project we have, this is the opportunity, look at the company, it's a solid company. The bank says, great, get terms from the bank. We go RFQ all the architectural engineering, the construction management, build the building, we turn the keys over to the company, and then we're just collecting lease rates to pay the bank back. The companies love it, saves them a lot of upfront money, a lot of upfront hassle, and then we are able to keep the building on the books, and then we'll give them sort of the option to purchase at the end of the lease. Go ahead. I wanted to bring this project up because while it's not in your community, it is nearby, and it might also give you a different flavor for something Space Florida can do. So this is in Escambia County. This is the Pensacola Technology Park, and this is an ongoing project, so I'm not able to get into who this is or anything like that. We obviously value the customer very, very much and want to keep them confidential as we keep all of our active projects. But I did want to give you a little flavor as to how Space Florida is able to be helpful in these scenarios. And that's really about Escambia County and the PEDC came to us and said, look, we've got this land that we're trying to develop. How can you help? It is PEDC owned, so it's essentially county owned land. So we're able to do a ground lease with them to develop a building within this park and then able to lease it out to someone, assuming it's within our mission, within that aerospace charter, and then able to lease that out. So Space Florida could own the building for a long, long time and then lease it out to aerospace-related customers. And then for Space Florida, the benefit is you see the job creation, the company is able to grow, and you provide all the economic development opportunities that you would hope to see there. So it doesn't have to be a hangar, it doesn't have to be some kind of world-class facility in terms of something like Embraer did. Theirs has a Brazilian look to it, if you will, down in Melbourne. And it's a fantastic facility. But this is a little more traditional bread and butter office building, if you will. And it'll be a fantastic office building. But just something different, just to wrap your heads around a little bit. Go ahead. I wanted to talk about another industry that's obviously up and coming in your area and frankly all over the state of Florida, and that's the unmanned systems market. You can see this is an industry that's growing all over the state that a lot of players are involved with. Space Florida is really championing this market. The commercial market in particular is where a lot of this growth will occur. And I encourage you, if you have not already, to do a lot of reading about the economic development opportunities that are associated with this, because the potential long-term for the commercial use of unmanned systems is significant. Go ahead. We actually did a unmanned system demonstration down at the Kennedy Space Center there because we have controlled airspace, and the federal government was comfortable with what was happening right next door, and we had the FAA and everybody come down, and all the regulators were pleased with how it went. So we had different Florida companies come in and do demonstrations of their unmanned systems, including Peoria, Angel Eyes, Elevated Horizons, and an additional one was done around the AUVSI, which is the big nationwide trade association that represents this industry, back in May. This is an industry that will continue to grow whether we encourage it to or not. It's just whether we want to get on the bandwagon and encourage it to grow in Florida, where there are a lot of economic development opportunities. I wanted to bring this up. It was a fantastic business plan awards event that we did over on Pensacola Beach a few months ago. It went exceedingly well. It had some great winners there with Iris and Accounting Fly. We've done a few of these business plan competitions and just wanted you to be aware of them. We're able to get into these and do different kinds of things like this, where we're trying to get smaller, innovative companies to come out of the woodwork and learn more about them and get them from that initial stage to get them growing and get them a little investment so they can grow here in Florida and in your communities. I wanted to bring this one up. This is an MOU that we did back in 2014. That should say RFQ open through April 28th, 2015. Apologize, I'm still a year behind apparently. So Israel and Florida have done a combined MOU for research and development. Both sides want to see more R&D happening in their respective regions. They have reasons why they want to do work here. They're certainly limited in terms of the aerospace market, where they can fly and how they can fly because of their neighbors, if you will. And we want to see a lot of those businesses coming over here and wanting to grow over here as well. So this is an initiative that the governor pushed and has done a great job of helping us work. And I just want you all to be aware of it. If you have any businesses in your community that are seeking to grow in particularly research and development markets, that this is somewhere we might be able to help. There's $1 million in funds provided by the state from our side, $1 million from Israel, where we're able to choose selections, and all the information's up on our website about it. But just wanted you to be aware in case you get any questions about it. Go ahead. Briefly, I already touched on the shuttle landing facility and what's happening in the unmanned systems market. We also are undertaking an initiative over in Daytona called Shiloh. It's a commercial launch complex, basically trying to stay off of federal property and create a competitive marketplace for space companies who want to launch rockets away from Air Force and NASA and some of the regulations and rules that are associated with that. It's a competitive market. We're competing with Texas and Virginia and a lot of other states who really want to be out in front, and this is another way for us to compete. So go ahead. We are blessed to have a lot of fantastic partners, and the EDCs around the state have done a fantastic job, and you all are doing a great job. And I can't thank Shannon enough for inviting me up here. You have a fantastic head of economic development here, and should be very proud to have him. We have gone all over the state the past few years and tried to bring more awareness to what we're able to bring. I think one of the areas that I do want to highlight before I leave you all is the aviation market. One of the things that we're seeing right now is a lot of need for hangars around the state. It's hard to come by the money to buy to build these hangars, but Space Florida can bring a lot of these capabilities to bear, where we can do a ground lease with the airport or on airport property. We can build the building, not a spec building. There would have to be a customer. There would have to be somebody there who wants to be there. But we can build the building. We can allow them to grow and then lease it back to the company. There are a lot of opportunities for that around the state, and just want you to be aware that we are here and ready to assist whenever you've got something. So I know you all obviously interface quite a bit with the community and businesses. So please let Shannon know, and he'll reach out to me, and we'll get things moving if you all come across anything. We have fantastic partners with Visit Florida, Enterprise Florida, Career Source, DEO and Department of Transportation have all been fantastic to us, and can't say enough about them. We have a fantastic team of economic development partners here in the state. I'm certainly available for questions if you all have any. If you have any specific questions about projects, I'll get Kevin up here. But thank you very much for having me here today.
Chris, thank you for coming over. Great presentation. Sounds like you have a lot of exciting things going on. I know you're going to visit the Whiting Aviation Industrial Park with Shannon after this meeting. We have high hopes for that facility out there, and good chance maybe we can work together in the future out there. So,
I hope so.
Thank you for coming over. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes the economic development.
Thank you, Commissioner Leonard. All right, we'll move into the Administrative Committee at this time. Discussion of legislative priority list for 2015 legislative session. Mr. Walker.
Mr. Chairman, it's been distributed to you based on the input at Monday's committee meeting. We included on our legislative issues the recommendation that the small county outreach program, or at least the limit for the small county outreach program, be amended to $165,000 to include the county, and we also put in a request regarding the construction of a courthouse or judicial facility. That was distributed yesterday. Should be in your packet. So that was the wording that we came up with. And then what we will do, when you approve those today, we'll transmit those to the delegation in anticipation of their meeting. I believe it's in this room a week from this evening at 5:30, and Chairman Salter will make the presentation before them.
Any comments from the board? Acknowledging that Mr. Walker has included the recommendations from Monday, I would move approval of the legislative priority list at this time without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Number 2, recommend proposal submitted by Sport Nation in the amount of $7 per individual for providing background screening of volunteers in county parks and recreational facilities. Any comments?
If I could just ask that would actually be a contract, just approve the contract. Mr. Andrews has concluded his negotiated contract with them at this price. With the change in the legislation is requiring all the volunteers to be checked. This is going. We're going to get this information to the sports associations, move pretty quickly, because they are signing up for baseball programs probably beginning in the next week or so. So we need to start getting volunteers checked. So
the recommendation would be recommend proposal submitted and negotiate contract?
No, sir. If you'll approve the contract.
Yeah, we've gone through the contract.
Approve the contract?
Yeah, approve the
Okay.
contract.
I would make that motion without objection. Hearing none, it passes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just one question on that. This is strictly for the sports associations operating at the county parks?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Would it be possible if we opened this service up to the other facilities and other nonprofits, like the churches in the county that have volunteers that do coaching for youth programs? Just an idea, something you may want to look into in the future. Just to, on a pay-as-you-go, they would have to pay for it, obviously, but they may not have the means to provide any background testing, but may have the desire. So I'll get with some of the organizations and see if that's something they'd be interested in.
I think the statute is going to require the background check of the coach, assistant coach, and the referees. Now, and the county policy is that we do a background check of all the volunteers. And I think that statutory requirement would go for any other of the nonprofit youth associations. So they're going to have to do it.
Okay.
So it would probably be a benefit to them for them to piggyback on us, I guess.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, we've already approve that, so we'll move on to number 3. Discussion of 2014-2015 Land and Water Conservation Fund grant application cycle. Mr. Walker?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, in your packet, or the information based on the input, Monday, as Ms. Harris had reviewed, 3 projects: the Florida Town project, the Navarre Park, the Holly Park, to kind of look at which would best fit the Land and Water Conservation Fund category or criteria. I believe she also looked at facilities for McAllister Park that they're not on the little spreadsheet that we forwarded out yesterday. I don't think it scored particularly well. When you see the 3 projects as they scored, the Navarre Park and the Florida Town Park scored better than the Holly Park, primarily based on access to the water. The reason the Florida Town Park scored a little higher was the historical significance or its preservation potential. So those are the 3 projects that she had scored at your request, and I assume that she's asking that the board would select one of these 3 to develop
Discussion by the board.
an application.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Rob Williamson.
I agree with your recommendation that we should go with the item that scored the highest, because tell me if I'm wrong, Ms. Harris, but the item that scores the highest is going to have the best opportunity for funding. So for us to take one of the selections that didn't score the highest, we're not going to have as good of an opportunity, because we're going up against other projects that are being submitted from all over, correct? So there'd be no reason for us to take a lesser scored project.
I mean, clearly it makes sense to choose the highest scoring. It's only 7 points different. I do expect that there will be more funding available in this program in this upcoming year. I think the top 2 scoring both have a good potential of getting funds, so it's really up to the board which of the top 2 that you wish to move forward. I think they both have a good chance of being funded, but we can only submit one at this time.
All right, I'll make my case. They're both valid projects. Obviously, the concern I have with the Navarre project is that we, in District 4, at this time, we don't have the number of passive parks that maybe some of the other areas around the county may have, and this, because of that, this park gets an extraordinary amount of use. I'm definitely committed to matching and then even going beyond that to do a comprehensive renovation to Navarre Park, as well as adding additional parks in the District 4 area. But this one I feel would provide a greater service and make a greater impact, perhaps, than the other one that's on the table now. But they're both good offerings, and I'll defer to Commissioner Jager Williamson.
Commissioner Jager Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sheila, in the past on these grants, at the percentage rate, around the 70% rate, have we ever received one from in Santa Rosa County?
It's been a really long time before the Baghdad Mill site was funded, since we've even got a land and water conservation fund, so I don't know that I could really answer that. The Baghdad Mill site scored better because it was completely undeveloped, and that gets you some points. It had the water, it had the historical, so that one scored well. We were adding, completely new recreation amenities. We are working on adding a recreational element to our comprehensive plan, which would allow us to get 20 points instead of 10. We've never had that before, so that's something we're hoping to implement before this cycle ends. So that would actually give us an additional 10 points. And whichever project you choose, we will maximize the scoring as best we can. I do believe, though, that if they put more money into this program, that both of the top two have a good chance of being funded.
I appreciate the turnaround that you did to score these programs. And Florida Town Park, it does need a lot of help. It's one of the parks that is in my district, and one of the probably parks in the county that needs more help. It's gotten pretty bad. I actually have a pretty cool picture with my grandfather, W.L. Butler, and then State Representative Ed Fortune pointing at a map at the Capitol in 1974, I think, because they were just designing this park. So that's probably why it gets that historical value that allows it to get a few more points. I have a FERDAP grant that I've applied for, that you've applied for me, that this board approved for $200,000, and it has a match to that to have the first 100% ADA compliant park at Benny Russell, along with trying to help with a tennis project that may not or will not happen unless we can get that grant. Right now, I'm really committed to that grant. What's good for Navarre is good for me is the way that I look at it. My in-laws live down there, so what's good for Navarre is definitely good for me. But Commissioner Williamson, I would gladly concede, this go around, this grant to you, because I think that park that you have is very valuable to the community and to your part of the district or your part of the county. And maybe the next go around, the Florida Town Park can come on board and we can look at it again, because then I'll know more about the funding that I have in my account for my district after we find out what happens in June. So I plan on the FERDAP grant to be walking halls and make as many phone calls as I can for my district, and I'll do the same for Navarre. So I would gladly concede to Navarre on this project.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Rob Wilson, would you like to make a motion?
I would, and I'd like to say thank you to Commissioner J.R. Williamson for making decisions based on what you feel is best for the entire county and showing leadership on this, and I appreciate it, and I know the residents of Navarre appreciate it. I would make a motion that we submit the Navarre Park project for the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant.
Without objection?
That motion is made without objection, Mr. Chairman.
Hearing none, it passes.
Thank you.
That's what working together is all about. We're going to quickly get through the rest of the administrative committee, then we'll take a break, Commissioner Cole. Number 4, recommend declaration as surplus property, a 1997 Ford Explorer from the engineering department, as recommended by the clerk of courts. I would move approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Number 5, recommend designating the lobby area of the animal shelter the Dominic Percini Adoption Lobby in honor of former Animal Services Director. Any comments? Hearing none.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Cole.
Just real quick. And I'm glad the board is doing this, because I think, we all know how hard Dominic worked to build that up, and he had the love and respect of all the people that worked for him and worked under him. So it's hard to see this happen to a good friend with his health deteriorating, and just want his family to know our prayers go out to Dominic and his family.
Thank you, Commissioner Cole. At this time, I would move approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Number 6, recommend waiver of permitting fees for construction of residence for disabled veteran Daniel Palmer at 2344 10 Mile Road pursuant to applicable Florida statute. I would move approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. This was add-on from after Monday's meeting. Number 7, recommend annual Pace High School Band Zombie Run beginning and ending at Pace High School Saturday, February the 14th, 2015 at 8:30 a.m. I would move approval without objection. Can't wait to see Commissioner J.R. Williamson as a zombie. Number 8, meeting, unless otherwise noted, the meetings below will be held in the boardroom of the Santa Rosa County Administrative Center. Everyone has access to those meetings. I will not read all of them. I would move approval of those meetings without objection. Hearing none, it pass. We'll take a 10-minute break and finish up. Thank you. It is now 10:36. We will reconvene the meeting. We will start with the engineer's report. Number 1, recommend work order number 6 to contract with Hatchmont McDonald, Florida, LLC in the amount of $76,720 for engineering and design services of the Peter Prince Airport Runway Rehabilitation Project, reimbursable from FAA grant. I would move approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Recommend 48-month lease agreements as follows for equipment at the central landfill as lowest cost based on comparison shopping. First, articulated dump truck, Cohen Equipment Incorporated at $3,525.55 a month. Number 2, bulldozer, Thompson Equipment Incorporated at $1,629.07 a month. Number 3, front-end loader, Beard Equipment Company Incorporated at $2,207.37 a month. Any discussion? Hearing none, I would move approval without objection. It passes. Number 3, recommend final plat for Cottonwood Phase 2, a 22-lot subdivision located in District 3. I would move approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. That concludes the engineer's report. We'll move to Public Services Committee. Commissioner J.O. Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 4 items today. The first, to recommend soliciting bids for abatement of the following abandoned derelict properties: 5166 Aqua Vista Drive, Gulf Breeze; 4164 Fruitwood Street, Pace; 7037 Overman Street, Baghdad; 5708 Ridgeway Court, Milton; 8305 Segura Street, Navarre; 8466 Sevilla Street, Navarre. I'd like to move approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item number 2, recommend HHRP mortgage subordination agreement for the property located at 6930 Dorsey Lane, consistent with board policy. I'd like to move approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Number 3, recommend agreement with the Florida Department of Emergency Management in the amount of $16,000 for annual Homeland Security Domestic Preparedness Grant. I'd like to move approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Number 4, discussion of an additional appropriation for the completion of the Navarre Park restroom project not to exceed $10,000 from District 4 Recreation funds. I'd like to move approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
That concludes my report for Public Services Committee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Williamson. We'll move on now to Public Works Committee. Commissioner Cole.
Thank you, Chairman Salter. Item number 1 is recommend proposal submitted by Pot of Gold Rentals Incorporated for portable restroom rental services for the Parks Department based on comparison shopping. I do so without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 2 is recommend scheduling public hearing on the proposed vacation of that portion of Martin Street as depicted on the plat of Florida Town Heights north of U.S. Highway 90. Move that without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Mr. Chairman, that completes our report for this week.
Thank you, Commissioner Cole. We'll move to Budget and Financial Management Committee. Commissioner Rob Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 10 items this morning. I would recommend the budget amendments, the following budget amendments for approval without objection. We'll start with item number 1, recommend bid from Santa Rosa Press-Gazette at a rate of 10.5 cents per line for advertisement of delinquent tax lists as low bidder meeting specifications. Recommend without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
And items 2 through 9 are all budget amendments. I will read them, but I would recommend them without objection. The first is item number 2, Budget Amendment 2015-83, an amount of $60,000 for advocacy and lobbying services with Johnson & Blanton LLC as approved at the December 11th, 2014 meeting. Move approval.
Without objection.
Without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Number 3, recommend Budget Amendment 2015-84 in the amount of $200,000 for 2014-2015 Defense Infrastructure Grant for property acquisition proximate to NAS Whiting Field as approved at the December 11th, 2014 meeting. Move approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item number 4, recommend budget amendment 2015-85 in the amount of $27,631 for extension of the 2014-15 DRG grant through June 30th, 2015, as approved at the December 11th, 2014 meeting. Recommend approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item number 5, recommend budget amendment 2015-86 in the amount of $3,227 for the copier scanner printer as approved at the November 13th, 2014 meeting. Recommend approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item number 6, recommend budget amendment 2015-87 in the amount of $20,899, returning prior year excess fees for employee retirement and clerk office. Recommend approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item number 7, recommend budget amendment 2015-88 in the amount of $3,000, carrying forward funds donation from the Curtis Finlay Foundation Incorporated to J Library. Recommend approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Recommend budget amendment 2015-89 in the amount of $212,505, carrying forward account balances from grants received to the Navarre Beach Marine Science Center, the Navarre Beach Turtle Conservation Center, and the Marine Sanctuary and the Tourist Development Fund. The breakdown has been provided in the backup. I move approval of these without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Just so you know, we basically created new accounts for each one of these allocations so that we can better track them. Item number 9, recommend budget amendment 2015-90 in the amount of $41,308 for the Florida Defense Support Task Force grant funding for the purpose of demolition of structure adjacent to NAS Whiting Field entrance and installing a fence enhancing base security. Recommend approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
And item number 10, recommend county expenditures check register. The check register has been signed and provided to you for approval, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. That concludes our agenda. County Administrator, anything else? County Attorney?
No, sir.
Commissioner Rob Williamson?
I apologize. I need to move for approval of the check register.
I apologize for
Without
not catching
objection.
that. Without objection, hearing none, it passes.
Thank you.
It's time we'll open it up for public forum. Anyone from the public wishing to speak? Name and address, please. Well, wait till you get to the microphone. Turn the red light on, please. All this technology. We got it right here. Here comes the.
Yeah, okay.
There
all
you
right,
go.
all right. I'm David L. Sweeney. I live at 4024 East Johnson Avenue in Pensacola, Florida. I have a prepared written complaint and request regarding county administrative officials' failure to enforce the Land Development Code. I request permission to read my complaint and request.
As long as you keep it in a reasonable time.
8 minutes or less.
Or less.
Depending on how fast I can read. I am an aggrieved Santa Rosa County vacant residential single-family lot owner who has filed complaints with Code Enforcement Officer Randy Jones stating that an adjacent property owner was using his property for uses which are prohibited by the Land Development Code. I explained that the property was being used for outdoor storage of materials of little or no value, storage of boats, trailers, and unlicensed motor vehicles. The property owner, I explained, had constructed an accessory building and privacy fence without Board of Adjustment approval. I explained that such illegal use had adversely affected the value of my adjacent 3 vacant residential lots. I asked Mr. Jones to enforce the Land Development Code and to direct the adjacent property owner to remove the illegal accessory structure and the illegal outdoor storage and materials and boats and trailers and unlicensed vehicles from his property. These complaints were made in 2005. Code Enforcement Officer Randy Jones did not investigate my complaints between 2005, did investigate my complaints between 2005 and 2012, but he refused to issue a land development code violation. He stated that he was working with the adjacent property owner and his attorney. In February 2013, I contacted County Administrator Mr. Walker and requested that I talk with him about the lack of progress in resolving my code violation complaints. Mr. Walker scheduled a meeting in March 2013. Code Enforcement Officer Randy Jones, Mr. Walker, Mr. Gomillion, Ms. Angela Jones, County Attorney, and I attended the meeting. In essence, all county officials and county attorneys stated that the adjacent property owner had not violated the Land Development Code as they interpreted it, and therefore no further action on my complaints would be taken. I disagreed with their interpretations, and as are my rights under the Land Development Code Section 203, I requested that the administrative decisions of the county staff be put in writing. The county attorney, Angela Jones, provided me with a letter dated March 6, 2013 that provided the county's decisions and interpretations. The Land Development Code, Section 203, allows an aggrieved property owner to appeal administrative decisions within 15 days of the decision to Director of Planning and Zoning, who would then schedule a public hearing with the Board of Adjustments, which would decide whether any code violations had occurred. The Director of Planning and Zoning refused to schedule a hearing with the BOA and refused to answer my correspondence to her and refused to talk to me. Her secretary told me to talk to Angela Jones, the county attorney. I met with Ms. Jones and asked her why the county was refusing to enforce the Land Development Code that clearly states my rights to appeal administrative decisions. She invited me that I would have to appear at a county commissioner meeting on May 9, 2013, instead of the Board of Adjustment hearing meeting. I told her I did not want to attend the May 9, 2013 meeting. She advised me if I refused to attend this meeting, no further action would be taken on my complaints or even future complaints. I attended this meeting where Ms. Jones, Mr. Gomillion, and Becky Cato represented the county. Both Ms. Jones and Mr. Gomillion testified false information to the county commissioners, basically giving the county commissioners information that the sheriff's deputy department was addressing my complaints, that no land development code violations existed. It is my contention that County Attorney Angela Jones and Becky Cater, Director of Planning and Zoning, has violated my rights of appeal as provided me under Section 203 of the Land Development Code. I contend that the county staff and the county attorney had violated the Land Development Code, which I consider a criminal offense since the Land Development Code Section 203 enforcement provides penalties of $500 a day or 60 days in jail or both for violating the Land Development Code. I contend that the county attorney, Angela Jones, and the county administrative staff are trying to cover up gross errors made by the code enforcement officer, and that they have provided county commissioners with false testimony in an effort to cover up these enforcement errors. To date, Becky Cato has refused to answer my current correspondence, meet with me, or talk to me. I request that the county commissioners appoint an impartial party, such as a member of the Board of Adjustments, to investigate what I consider an administrative cover-up. I request that the county commissioners take appropriate action to assure action to assure other property owners that the county administrative staff will enforce the Land Development Code and allow aggrieved individuals to appeal administrative decisions to the Director of Planning and Zoning. I request that the Director of Planning and Zoning would comply with Section 203 appeals. I have a few clarification changes to the Land Development Code that will help to interpret and enforce it. I request that I be able to discuss these changes with Ms. Becky Cato. I request that the Board of County Commissioners vote yea or nay to investigate why the staff has not been enforcing the Land Development Code Administrative Section 20301B appeals. Thank you.
Mr. Andrews, would you like to comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have reviewed the file and the legal analysis that was performed by my predecessor, along with the determinations that were made by the staff, and I don't have any disagreement with what they have done previously. I have asked Mr. Gomillion to revisit the issue of the items on the property as depicted in some photographs that have been furnished by Mr. Sweeney as to whether or not there would be a code enforcement action that would be appropriate. I have also discussed with Mr. Gomillion and with the administrator, separate and apart from this, establishing a code enforcement special magistrate, which is an avenue allowable under Florida statutes. It's been utilized by the city of Milton and a lot of other local governments around the state, and it is a more effective and economical way of enforcing code enforcement. And that would, I would say that would be an appropriate thing to do. It's not something that we can do today. But I don't have any disagreement with the legal analysis that's been presented to Mr. Sweeney in the past.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion by the board? Mr. Sweeney, you can stay in your seat. Mr. Andrews agrees with the former legal opinion. However, he's asked Mr. Gomillion to further look into it, so there'll be no action today other than that Mr. Andrews is going to be working with Mr. Gomillion to further look at it.
I have requested to have a meeting with the new county attorney, and I heard from her, his secretary and everything, that she would set up such a meeting. And I feel that if you can't communicate with administrative people and they won't talk to you, I don't know how you're ever going to solve a problem. My complaint is simply there are going to be occasions when the staff...
Let me interrupt you just a minute. There are times when department heads, they push things up to their bosses, and many times those bosses are going to be either Mr. Walker or Mr. Andrews. So that's where it's going to end up anyway. Then they'll make a recommendation back to this board.
Certainly.
Let us look at it, and Mr. Andrews, I'm sure, will be back in touch with you.
All right. Well, I request that I be able to talk, of course, with the county attorney, because, like I say, we can solve this in 5 minutes, and what he has proposed, I've even got a better proposal that comes right out of the Florida state statutes that will absolutely solve all the problems. I see the way it's been run. Stop and think, gentlemen. 5 years, and nothing happens. The reason is that Randy Jones will not write a citation.
Okay, we're going to get Mr. Andrews to work with you.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you. Anything else from the public? Hearing none, we are adjourned.